And welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. It's your boy KP. It's December 19th, 2019. We're wrapping up this year. We've got NFL moving into the playoffs. We've got college football on a hiatus until their joke of a playoff system starts. Basketball's hot and heavy. NHL's hot and heavy. You got Major League Baseball out there throwing around money like it's made from Tyco. So many avenues we could go through. Last week I didn't get to talk to you guys last week. I didn't get at you. I didn't come and do a show. I had a show prepared. Thought about it for 3, 4, 5 days, what I was going to say, all that kind of stuff. Ultimately decided it was just a negative show. I didn't want to put that out there. So I didn't bring a show last week. I'm back this week. I'm glad I'm back. Last show before Christmas. We'll have a post-Christmas show next week. Then we'll have our New Year's show after that. My desk's falling apart a little bit here. So this week, what do we got? We're going to do our picks this week. We're going to go over what Martha Firestorm Ford is basically saying to the fans. We lost a couple of greats this week. Hollywood lost a couple of greats this week. Pro Bowl rosters have been announced. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about this idea of snubs and some of the names that are continuously being floated around as snubs for this year's Pro Bowl. Let's start with the picks. Again, been a tough year for picks for me this year. Normally I come in about 70%. I'm coming in right about 60% this year. So a little bit of dip as far as that goes. This week's interesting. You know, by now, a lot of teams have shut it down, tanking. They know they're eliminated, so they're treating it more like a preseason. Let's see what this guy does. Let's see what that guy can do. So it's a little bit different kind of football that's going to be played these next 2 weeks for many teams. I'm trying to get my picks to load here. Let's see. I'm going to close that back out, and let's see if I can get it to come up. I'm part of a league, a contest for my picks, and it looks like maybe their server's having a little bit of issues. But what we can do is we can bring up the games on another service, and I can just tell you who I'm picking. So we'll do that. All right, Week 16 schedule. We got Week 16, Week 17. For some of us, we're really excited, right? Our teams are headed to the playoffs. For others of us, we're not so excited because our teams are out. And then you got people like me. I'm excited because, hey, I love football. I'm also a Lions fan, as you guys know. And, you know, as most people talk about the Lions, they're one of the worst teams, one of the most downtrodden teams, one of the most cursed teams over the last 50 or 60 years. And obviously this year, you can't really expect too much different. We've got games on Saturday. We've got games on Sunday. We've got a Monday night game. I get to go to the Lions-Broncos game this weekend. It'll be my second time as a Lions fan getting to attend a Lions game. I don't make it to Detroit very often, obviously. In fact, I've never been to Detroit. So my options of watching Lions games have been when they're here in town. Luckily, on the current scheduling, the AFC West and the NFC North face each other every 4 years. 4 years ago, the game was in Detroit. 8 years ago, it was here in Denver. So I get to attend my favorite team's game this weekend against the hometown Denver Broncos. But Saturday, let's go through Saturday's games. We have the Texans at the Buccaneers. Yes, Jameis Winston's been lighting it up. Yes, he became the first quarterback to throw for over 450 yards in consecutive games this week as Tampa Bay beat Detroit in their game on Sunday. Deshaun Watson on the Texans side, they've got a little bit more going for them in this game. They've got more on the line when it comes to this game. They're trying to win a division. They're trying to get into the playoffs as a wild card or as that division winner. That being said, Buccaneers also lost their second best receiver in consecutive weeks. I will take the Texans in this early game on Saturday. Afternoon game Saturday, you've got the Bills and Patriots. Another good matchup. Bills pull this one off, they are tied with the Patriots in the division. Personally, outside of Buffalo, I don't think anybody, even with their soft schedule, saw the Bills at this point in the season. It's been impressive. They stayed true to who they are. They're a defensive team. They're going to run the ball. And Josh Allen doesn't make that many mistakes. Doesn't make that many plays with his arm. Most of the plays he makes are when he takes off running. I'm not really still sold on him as an NFL quarterback. He's definitely a bottom of the league starter in my opinion. I take the Patriots to win this game. It's in New England. It's a division foe. They win tomorrow. They win the division. Buffalo wins tomorrow. They still need the Patriots to lose in Week 17. Patriots have more on the line. They want to keep that streak of division titles going. They want to continue to have that dominance they've had in the AFC East. I think they go ahead and they get this one. I do expect it to be close, however, with the Bills' defense keeping them in this game, as New England's offense is the weak part of their team this year. Saturday night, you've got the Rams and the 49ers. I'll take the 49ers to win this. Yes, the Rams have been playing better as of late. The 49ers just had a tough loss against Atlanta. I think that's going to be something that's going to be motivational for the 49ers this week. I don't think they're coming off of that loss in the last few seconds against Atlanta, against a team they should have handled. And they're going to come out this week against a division opponent and put the same kind of performance out on the field. So I expect the 49ers at home to go ahead and beat the Rams this week. And that doesn't eliminate the Rams from the playoffs. It makes their chances of getting there a little bit harder. But if they win Week 17, they still have a good shot of getting in. Moving into Sunday's games, you've got the woeful Bengals taking on the Dolphins, who at one point looked like the worst team in the NFL. The Bengals have since taken that ground. I think the Dolphins win this one. It's in Miami. The Bengals don't have anything to play for at this point. It's not even a pride factor at this point. They need talent. They need depth. They need to go ahead and get that number one pick. So why go out there and beat Miami? Unless Miami lays an egg, I don't see Cincinnati winning this one. AJ Green looks like he's on his way out to me. He doesn't want to be there. They've switched back to Andy Dalton at quarterback in the last couple of weeks, who, he's played better than the kid they had in there. But I expect the Dolphins to get this one. Steelers at Jets. I'll take the Steelers to get this one. I'd have to say this is probably Mike Tomlin's best coaching performance in his tenure in Pittsburgh. In fact, right now, for me, he's the leading candidate for Coach of the Year. Not what John Harbaugh is doing in Baltimore with that loaded team. Not what Kyle Shanahan's doing with that defense in San Francisco. For me, with what the Steelers have lost over the last 12 months as far as talent, the fact that they've got Duck Hodges starting at quarterback, the fact that James Conner has not been in the lineup every game this year to replace Le'Veon Bell, that they don't have a guy like Juju Schuster who stepped up this year because of his injuries, taking the place of an Antonio Brown, because Big Ben's been out. What he's been able to do with this group, the addition of Minkah Fitzpatrick in the middle of the season, and to be at 7-5 at this point in the year, or 8-5, whatever they are, that is an impressive job, and Mike Tomlin should be talked about more as being that Coach of the Year candidate. I'll take them to beat the Jets this week. I'll take the Giants over Washington because somebody's got to win this game. Both of these teams were pitiful this year. Both of these teams seem to be lacking direction. Washington's already got rid of their head coach. So I think we could see a lot different product from both of these teams next year. But somebody's got to win it, so I'll take the Giants on the road. Why not? Panthers at the Colts. Like I said, there was never going to be a rallying cry from the Panthers team when Ron Rivera went down or was dismissed. The Colts have basically cooled off the last couple weeks where they look like they might be a wild card team. They might be a contender in their division. They have taken a step back. They just don't have the weapons. They don't have the talent. They've got a great offensive line. They've got a great young linebacker. They've got some pieces in the secondary. Jacoby Brissett, to me, I'm sorry, you're a top-tier backup. You're a bottom-end starter. You've had some good games, but so have guys like Trevor Simeon and Case Keenum and Brock Osweiler and Sean Hill and guys like this that have had good games or good series of games, but they're just not starting quarterbacks. And Jacoby Brissett, you're a great backup. You'd be probably the best backup in the league, or if not the best, near the best. But as a starter, there's only so much you're going to be able to do. It's just not special. It's above average, but it's not special. And the Colts' running game has taken a step back. Eric Ebron has been injured. So I don't see them winning this game. I think the Panthers are going to try and get Christian McCaffrey to that 1,000 mark. He's within, I think, 180 yards or so receiving, so he needs to average around 80 or 90 yards over the next 2 weeks receiving. To get to that 1,000-yard receiving mark, he does have the 1,000 yards rushing. He needs something like 6 catches to be the first running back in NFL history to have consecutive 100-reception seasons. That more than likely happens this weekend. He'll get that one. I think week 17 is going to be super exciting for the Panthers just to see if Christian can get to that 1,000 club with Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk. It'll be pretty special. The Ravens at the Browns. Yes, the Browns have their biggest win of the season over the Ravens earlier in the season. I think the Ravens are going to use that as a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to come out and they're going to put it on this Browns team that is dysfunctional right now, that we're hearing reports about. Get me out of here. Come get me. Freddie Kitchens has not been a good head coach. That's probably the worst thing the GM Dorsey has done since he's been in Cleveland, is hiring Freddie Kitchens because he had a relationship with Baker Mayfield last year. Freddie Kitchens, in my opinion, very easily could be a one-and-done coach in the NFL. The Jaguars at the Falcons. Falcons had a big win, right? Maybe ride that high. They beat the 49ers. We saw some of that talent that many of us thought they had and should have had a better season kind of come to fruition in that game. They're going to have a letdown this week. The Jags are going to be physical. The Jags are going to run the ball. They're going to make one more play. And the Jags, I have beating the Falcons this week. I have the Saints over the Titans. I think the Chargers will beat the Raiders. I'm taking the Lions over the Broncos because why not? It makes no sense. There's actually no legitimate path I can come up with as a Lions fan for the last 28 years as to how they win this game. But I am still taking them to win this game with 14 players on injured reserve, with David Blah playing quarterback, with Kenny Galladay being the only receiver and weapon they'll have out there. Why not? Let's go get it. Again, this is one of those games somebody has to win, and I'll take the Lions because they're my team. I'll take the Seahawks over the Cardinals. I want the Eagles to beat the Cowboys so I can just stop hearing all the talk about the Cowboys until they actually accomplish something, and not just because they're America's team. And look at Jerry Land and blah, blah, blah. Shut the hell up. I'm so sick of it. It's like the Yankees. Do something. Then I'll talk about you. Win something. Then I'll talk about you. Play consistent. Then I'll talk about you. Until then, I don't care. So I want Philadelphia to win, even though I can't stand their fans. They're pretty much as bad as the Cowboys, but they're not picked up by the national media and everything as much as the Cowboys are. So I take Philadelphia to win. Saturday night, the Chiefs are going to get in the Bears' ass, and I'll take the Packers to beat the Vikings, especially if Dalvin Cook doesn't play as is being talked about now. So those are my picks. Big story this week, Pro Bowl roster. Okay. Everybody's excited. Look, I voted. I went to NFL.com Pepsi Vote, and I voted for my favorite players. Not the best players. I didn't watch film. Most fans don't watch the film. Most fans don't watch anybody but their team, and then they just vote for that logo. Or they vote for whoever the most popular name is or the most well-known name because they hear it on ESPN or their friends at school talk about them. So again, I'm on record as saying this over and over and over again. The Pro Bowl vote is a joke. Nobody cares about the Pro Bowl. The players don't care about the Pro Bowl. Most of the fans don't truly care about the Pro Bowl. It's a joke of a game. If they did care, the starters would show up. If they did care, I don't know, the third alternate would show up. Because I would be willing to bet today, right now, that half of these guys that have been voted in as starters don't show up. I would be willing to bet right now, today, that a third of these alternates don't show up. So some of these guys we're out here talking about their snubs, they're going to get to play in the stupid game anyway. And let's talk about when the game's played. Around the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl, after the Super Bowl, they're getting it all wrong. Change it to an all-star weekend like every other sport does. Okay? Put that all-star weekend, make that the trade deadline as well. The other thing you do that weekend, make that the bye week. It's the all-star break. Have that happen. Put it in week 10, week 9, something like that. Everybody has that week off, just like the other sports. You get a little game in. It's fun. You do some skills stuff, a little bit of a joke. Do something for the fans. Make it fun that way. Then the important one, the one that the players really want to be on, the one that shows you are the best at what you do, not the Pro Bowl voting, but the one that shows you are the best at what you do, the All-Pro team can come out at the end of the year, before or after the Super Bowl. Tie the bonuses to that, not to the Pro Bowl. Let the fans have the Pro Bowl like they have the All-Star break in the other games. Make it fun. Make it for the fan. Have it be an experience. But let's stop acting and reporting and thinking and pushing the idea that the Pro Bowl somehow is important. Because it's not. They don't play real football. They change the rules. Guys don't show up. Half the time there's no tackling. You can't blitz. It's a joke. So, that being said, let's get into the rosters. AFC Pro Bowl roster. And I got this information from NFL.com, so we'll just go through it. Offense, defense on the AFC. Then we'll go offense, defense on the NFC side. All right, wide receivers. I'll go through this. I'll tell you if I voted for this person myself or if I didn't. So at the receiver position, AFC, DeAndre Hopkins, voted for him. Keenan Allen, voted for him. Jarvis Landry, did not vote for him. Tyreek Hill, did not vote for him. I don't think Tyreek Hill, just because he's got big playability, is a Pro Bowler. He got in on name value. He got in on what the Chiefs did last year. He's had a good year, but it hasn't been the splash, big bang, one single skill set of being fast season that we, nicknamed him the Cheetah on last year. There's other guys that were deserving at the receiver position to be in this game, if it was truly what it was meant to be, than Keenan Allen. Jarvis Landry's had a good season, most catches on that swag pound team. But again, I could come up with players that have had more impact than Jarvis Landry has this year. At the tackle position, you got Ronnie Staley, Baltimore. Makes sense. Number one running offense in the league. Laramie Tunsil, did not vote for him. That one does not make sense to me. He's had mistake after mistake after mistake if you watch the Houston Texans games this year. Trent Brown, Oakland. Decent season. Didn't vote for those last two guys. I did vote for Ronnie Staley. Guard. AFC guard. Marshall Yanda, Baltimore Raven. Makes sense. I didn't vote for him, though. Quentin Nelson, Indianapolis Colts. I did vote for. And David DeCastro, Pittsburgh Steelers. I did vote for. Center position. Mike Pouncey, Pittsburgh Steelers. There's probably 14 centers in the AFC that are more deserving than Mike Pouncey. He gets in on the popular vote. Perfect example right there. Marquise Pouncey gets in because Steelers Nation voted so many damn times for him. Not because he's anywhere near even the top half of his conference at his position this season. And then Rodney Hudson, Oakland Raiders. Didn't vote for either one of those guys, but hey, they both got in. Tight end, Travis Kelce, I did vote for, and Mark Andrews for Baltimore, I did vote for in the tight end position. Quarterback, Lamar Jackson, makes sense. I mean, he's lighting it up. He's playing like a Pro Bowler this year. He'll probably be on the All-Pro team as well. He's got 1,000 yards rushing. He's approaching 3,000 yards passing. He's got over 30 touchdowns. He's a unicorn. This is not going to be the norm. This is not the new wave of what's going to happen in the NFL. This is a Lamar Jackson. Just like when Michael Vick came around, there wasn't a whole bunch of Michael Vicks all of a sudden. This is a one-off. So all these teams out there that are going to go start looking for this guy who can run around and throw from the pocket, it doesn't happen. This is a rarity. We might not see another athlete like this who can play that position and have both of those skill sets for a decade or more. I did vote for Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes, I did not vote for. I don't think he's a Pro Bowler this year in the AFC. Kansas City has had a down year compared to last year. He's missed time. Yes, he's still putting up big numbers. That's the scheme they're in. But to me, I did not vote for him, and I don't think he's a Pro Bowl. Deshaun Watson, I did vote for the Houston Texans. I think you take him off that team, they're not in contention at all. Not right now. Not with who they have. Even with the talent they have at the receiver position with Hopkins and Fuller and Stills, with Fells at tight end, Hyde at running back, they don't have enough without him out there doing what he does. Running back, Nick Chubb, I voted for. Derrick Henry, I voted for. Mark Ingram, I voted for. Fullback, Patrick Ricard, Baltimore Ravens, I did not vote for him. Defensive side of the ball, I did not vote for Joey Bosa. I don't think he deserves to be there. I did not vote for Frank Clark. I don't think he deserves to be there. I did not vote for Calais Campbell. I do not think he deserves to be there. Interior lineman, Cam Hayward, Pittsburgh Steelers, I voted for. Chris Jones, Kansas City Chiefs, I voted for. Geno Atkins, Cincinnati Bengals, I did not vote for. I don't think he deserves to be there. Outside linebacker, a lot of people are like, oh, Von Miller only had 7 sacks, doesn't deserve to be there. Von Miller, yes, got in mostly on his name. Popularity vote. But he's also had a good season. You got to stop looking at just sack numbers and see overall effect on a game. And he doesn't have to wreck a game to have an impact. He's still being double teamed. And his role and his assignments have changed. He's in a different defense. The way he's being utilized is different. And if you don't know football and all you want to do is talk about it like it's a fucking video game, like it's Madden, or you want to be one of these new-aged fans who, I'm a real good fan when my team's winning, but I'll not even pay attention if they're not, or whoever the popular name is, that's who I root for, then fine. You can go that route. Everybody doesn't have to be intelligent with the things that they like. They don't have to know the history and the background. Just don't join the debate because you don't know what you're talking about. Vaughn has had a good season. Is it a down year based on what he's produced to this point in his career? You could argue that statistically. He's not having as many big splash plays. He hasn't had as many sack forced fumbles. But he's very much still out there doing his thing. TJ Watt, Pittsburgh Steelers, I voted for. And Matt Judon, Baltimore Ravens, I did not vote for. But, you know, you look at what their defense is doing, that one's not that surprising. They have 12 players that were selected to the Pro Bowl. Inside linebacker, Darius Leonard, I thought he missed too much time to be a Pro Bowler. But, again, is he one of the better players at his position? Sure. Dante Hightower of the New England Patriots, again, there's a guy gets in on his name. He's been injured a lot. Off and on, missing games, parts of games. Will he play? How many snaps can he get this season? Number one defense, sure. Best defense New England's ever had, sure. But should he be an inside linebacker in the Pro Bowl? Yeah. Stephon Gilmore, I voted for. Tre'Davious White at the cornerback position, I voted for. Marcus Peters, I voted for. Marlon Humphrey, did not vote for. That one was probably one of the bigger surprises to me when I read this list. Minkah Fitzpatrick, I voted for at the safety position, and Earl Thomas, I voted for at the safety position. Jamal Adams, I voted for at the safety position. Special team side, Justin Tucker, voted for Justin Tucker. Long snapper, Morgan Cox for the Baltimore Ravens, I did not vote for. Punter Brett Kern of the Tennessee Titans, I did not vote for. Return specialist Mecole Hardman of Kansas City Chiefs, did not vote for him. Don't think he's worthy of the position either. He hasn't done that much in the return game this year. Special teamer Matthew Slater, basically you can pencil him in every year. Just like, what's his name from Buffalo back in the day? Steve Tasker. Steve Tasker should be in the Hall of Fame. And that's basically Matthew Slater is the modern day Steve Tasker. All right, NFC side. Wide receiver Julio Jones, name value, hasn't had a great season by his standards. Better than most of the guys in the NFL still. Michael Thomas, I voted for. Mike Evans, I did not vote for. Chris Godwin, I did vote for. David Bakhtiari, didn't vote for him, but solid tackle. Tyron Smith, I did vote for him. And Teron Armstead of the Saints are the tackles for the NFC. I did not vote for Teron. Guard Zach Martin, I did not vote for. Brandon Brooks of the Eagles, I did vote for. And Brandon Schriff of the Washington, I did not vote for. Jason Kelsey of the Eagles at center, I did not vote for him. I don't really know how many of these Eagles linemen should be in here because they haven't had a great run game. They have not protected Carson Wentz well. But it goes to show name value, certain fan markets, they're going to get their players voted into this game. Travis Frederick of Dallas, everybody loves that he's back. He's a solid player. Probably somebody else more deserving. Tight end George Kittle, I did vote for. San Francisco. Zach Ertz, Philadelphia, I did vote for him as well. Quarterback position on the NFC side. Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks, I voted for. Drew Brees, I voted for. Aaron Rodgers, I did not vote for. My vote went to Matthew Stafford. Had he played an entire season, he was in the MVP contest debate. His numbers through 8 games were right on par with anybody else's. If he plays a full 16, you're looking at around 5,000 yards passing, over 40 touchdowns, around 10 interceptions. He had a passer rating of 106 when he went down, which would lead the league at this point. So my vote there, instead of Rodgers, went to Matthew Stafford. At running back, Dalvin Cook, Minnesota, he's had a great year. Christian McCaffrey, great year. And Ezekiel Elliott, there's the Cowboys Nation getting him in because Ezekiel really hasn't started doing anything until the last 3 weeks. He's had a down year by just about any starting running back standard. Fullback Kyle Juszczyk, San Francisco, I did vote for. Defensive side of the ball. Cam Jordan at the defensive end position, I did vote for. Nick Bosa, I'll probably never vote for. I don't respect the guy. As good as he's been as a rookie, I don't respect the person. So I probably will never put support behind Nick Bosa. I'll admit he's talented. I'll admit he's one hell of a player. But I don't respect him. And then Danielle Hunter, Minnesota, youngest player to reach 50 career sacks this year. I did vote for him as well. Interior lineman Aaron Donald, of course, everybody. He should be just a unanimous pick most seasons. Fletcher Cox, I didn't vote for him. And Grady Jarrett, I definitely would not have voted for him this season to be a interior defensive lineman for the Pro Bowl. NFC linebackers, Chandler Jones, didn't vote for him. I can see why he gets in for Arizona, the impact he's had with that team. Terrell Suggs didn't quite live up to it. He gets shipped out. He's with Kansas City now. We'll see if he reports, though. Khalil Mack, Chicago Bears, he hasn't been a game wrecker this year. He hasn't been as dominant this year. In fact, in my opinion, he's kind of disappeared this year. Kind of like what everybody's saying about Von Miller. Has he had an impact? Are teams still focusing on him? Sure. But is it what we're used to seeing out of those two? No. And then Shaquille Barrett, he's gone on a splash this year with 16.5 sacks leading the NFL. He's been set free as a pass rusher. He's doing well when he drops into coverage. Excuse me. So that's a good pick there as well for Shaquille Barrett. I don't remember if I voted for Shaquille Barrett, though. Not a surprise that he's there, but I don't remember if I voted for him. Inside linebacker, Bobby Wagner. He's one of the best in the game. Voted for him. Luke Kuechly voted for him as well. Cornerback, Marshawn Lattimore. Voted for him. Voted for Richard Sherman. voted for Darius Slay, and I voted for Jalen Ramsey. Now, my pick for Jalen Ramsey was when he was still in the AFC, I think, but I did vote for all 4 of those defenders. Darius Slay, guys want to put him down because he plays for the Lions and our defense isn't that well. If he was on a winning team, he'd be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Guys don't throw his direction. If they're crossing routes and he ends up in a trailing position, then his guy gets the ball thrown to him. But few people go after him, like very few people go after Richard Sherman, like very few people go after Chris Harris Jr. Darius Slay's a baller, and I'm glad he's one of the bright spots on the Lions team this year. At free safety, Budda Baker for Arizona, I 100% voted for. He's having one hell of a season. Eddie Jackson for the Chicago Bears, in my opinion, gets in on name value. I don't think he's had that great of a season this year compared to what he put in last year. Harrison Smith from Minnesota, I voted for him as well. I think he's probably one of the better, still strong safeties in the league. Then you've got special teams for the NFC. You're talking Will Lutz for the Saints at kicker, long snapper Rick Lovato of the Eagles, punter Tress Way of Washington, return specialist Deontay Harris of the Saints, and special teamer Cordell Patterson of the Chicago Bears. Cordell Patterson's the only one on that list that I did vote for. Now let's talk about the idea of snubs. Just real quick, don't want to get into it too much. You hear names like Justin Simmons, you hear names like Dak Prescott, Michael Kendricks, Kirk Cousins, who else has been a name? Tyrann Mathieu, Josh Jacobs, Kenny Galladay leads the league in touchdown receptions, the tight end Waller for Oakland, Jaguars rookie Josh Allen, Joe Schobert of Cleveland Browns, Chris Carson, the running back for Seattle, Corey Littleton, the linebacker. These are the kind of names that you hear being brought up as snubs. They're not snubs. You didn't get looked over because you're not playing well or because you're playing better than somebody. You didn't have the fan base. Your name's not well enough. So I guess from that aspect, you can say, oh, they were snubbed. Well, no, that's the uneducated fan. That's the way this game is covered in the media that leads to these things. And that's why the All-Pro team is so much more impressive to me than any Pro Bowl team ever will be. Because those truly are the guys that the people in the know have realized have had the best seasons, the most impact at their position for their team in the game. So no, I'm not going to sit here and say these players were snubbed. Have some of them had good seasons? Sure. Are some of them deserving of having that accolade of Pro Bowler on their resume? Sure. But if I'm a player and you ask me what I'd rather be, a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro, which one's going to make you more money? Being a Pro Bowler? Because 5th, 6th, 7th alternates can get into the Pro Bowl. Or being the All-Pro, where you don't get an alternate. There's a second team. Great, you were almost the best. There's a third team. Great, you were almost the best. That All-Pro team, that's where it lies. So I'm sick of hearing this debate every year, year in and year out. Who was snubbed? Who was the biggest snub? Look at the numbers Dak put up. Dak's numbers are not as good as Jameis Winston. Was Jameis Winston a snub or no because he's got so many interceptions? Dak's numbers are better than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is going to earn it 10 times out of 10 over Dak Prescott. It's not a snub situation. It's a popularity contest. That's like getting together a bunch of middle school kids, having them vote. They all pick their friend and then saying, well, this person with the straight A's over here was snubbed. They should have got it. It's not snubbing. It's ridiculousness. So I'm done with that. That's all I got to say about that. Let's move on to what Martha Firestone Ford has done with the Lions. Lions fan, we're going to continue talking about football. She's decided to retain Bob Quinn as general manager and Matt Patricia as the head coach. Okay, we're moving into the 5th year of Bob Quinn next season and the 3rd year of Matt Patricia. I say we because I'm a fan, and it's the metaphorical we. I'll put the asterisks up if you need me to, even though you can't see me doing it. In his tenure, Bob Quinn fired Jim Caldwell. 9-7 playoff appearance 2 out of 3 years. 9-7 his final year. In 2 years as the head coach now of the Lions, Matt Patricia has 9 total wins, 20 losses, and 1 tie. I fully expect that to be 9 total wins, 22 losses, and 1 tie by the end of this season. He's being retained. Martha says we're giving him another year. We're giving Bob another year. But our expectations are that the Lions will be a playoff contender next season. Now, it doesn't say a Super Bowl contender. She's setting the bar low, in my opinion. We've heard the rumors that Jeff Bezos from through Sports Illustrated had interest in buying the Lions. We're hearing the Ford family has no interest in selling. The Fords have done very little, in my opinion, for the city of Detroit, the Detroit Lions, over the last 40 or 50 years. With all the jobs they've shipped elsewhere, the factories they've shut down. And, hey, I've stood behind them as owners until now. Something needs to change. We cannot continue to run this team and put the fans through this over and over and saying this is our expectation, this is what we want to do, without any kind of recourse, consequence, or big shift in mentality to make that happen. Now, they're saying there's going to be big changes on the defensive side of the ball. They're happy with Darren Bevel and what he's done with the offense. Let's get those guys healthy and see if we can build on it. Great. I see that, understand it. The defense, as a defensive-minded guy, that was pitiful what the Lions put out there this year. The special teams was pitiful. The amount of injuries and pretty much this whole season, the way it was coached, ran, operated, has been pitiful for Detroit. They should not have 3 wins on the season. Their confidence went flat about week 6. Patricia lost this team about week 6. And since then, they're going through the motions. So we've got a letter to the fans. We've got this open-ended kind of promise saying, our expectations are this. We'll see. We'll see. That's all I got to say. We'll see. We lose 2 greats this week. Hollywood lost 2 greats this week. These are 2 great movies. These are 2 of my favorite sports story movies of all time. We lost James Radio Kennedy this week. Long-time equipment manager, long-time football fan, long-time employee. For his football program. I didn't know who Radio was until I saw the movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. Since then, I now know there's a few people I know in the football world that have met Radio, had the honor of meeting this man who cared so deeply and so much and wanted to share the love and passion he had for the game and being around the game with everybody he met. So a true great. Not because of what he did on the field, not because of the championships he's won or the MVPs or the rings he accumulated, but because he got it. He understood sports. He understood football. He understood the passion and the love for the game. A true great. And somehow he should find himself posthumously in the College Football Hall of Fame, in my opinion. We also lost from Remember the Titans, responsible for that movie, that storyline, Coach Herman Boone. In a time in Virginia, as if Virginia's not still heavily racist, in a heavily racist climate in the 60s, Herman Boone came in and he built a championship team. He got his guys to play together, white, black, it didn't matter. It was football. We're a team. We're a brotherhood. That's another guy who got it. Now, everybody might not agree with his means. Everybody might have their opinion of him from the movie. Denzel Washington, right? But truly a great. He knew that football spanned more than race. And he was able to put his guys in that position. And unfortunately, we lost both of those greats this week. One great story this week, and what we'll end the show on today are these thoughts. Why I love sports, number 18. This is the 18th time I've done this segment. And I saw this story and it touched me because, again, it's another thing where these people get it. It's the purity of sports. It's the love of competition. No matter what your circumstances, getting out there, doing your best and performing at your best level to see how you stack up. And this was a post by Intertribal Athletics that came through this past week. Rayo Bullos of Baslan. Baslan, I'm going to butcher this. Baslan Loilo won 3 golds despite her makeshift Nike shoes. Rayo won the 400, 800, and 1500 meter run in the Loilo Schools Sports Council Meet 2019 earlier in December. Now let me explain to you, if you haven't seen this story and you haven't seen what these makeshift Nikes were. These makeshift Nikes were basically athletic tape wrapped around each toe, athletic tape wrapped around the foot and the heel and the ankle, with the word Nike written on it and the Nike symbol across the top. I love that, because for her, it wasn't about the bling. It wasn't about, look at the clothes, look at my fancy cleats, which, hey, I love the cleats the NFL players are putting on right now, but that's not what it's about. That's not what sport is. And this young lady, she didn't have the funds for the shoes, so she made do. She went out there and competed the best she had with what she had available to her. And what did she do? She wins 3 races, gets 3 gold medals, feels the pride, the sense of accomplishment. Amazing story. I wish we all had this little girl's resolve. We'd be in a much better place. Until next time, enjoy your holidays, whichever ones you celebrate. Love your neighbor. Say hi to somebody. Look them in the eye. Get off your phone once in a while. And just be real.